So when you're talking about comic book contracts, what does it actually mean to avoid a bad deal? What is a bad deal? Hi, my name is Gamal Hennessy, and I am an attorney, author, and business development advisor who specializes in the comic book industry. And for the last few videos that I've been doing for this channel, I've been talking a lot about avoiding bad deals and what to do to make sure you don't get a bad deal. But it was pointed out to me by one of the fine folks who watch these videos that I never stopped to actually explain what a bad deal is. My bad. I should have done that probably earlier. But I am going to correct the situation now by not only explaining what a bad deal is, I will also explain what a good deal is. So you get two for the price of one. Basically, a bad deal takes the four main components of a contract and positions each one of those components so they are not in your favor. Now, what I said probably doesn't make sense to you if you've never seen any of my videos before, but in an earlier video, I broke down that there are four major components to any comic book related contract, really any contract, but we don't care about other contracts. We're just talking about comic books. Those four factors are your rights, your revenue, your responsibilities, and your recovery. Basically, you should go back and watch the original video, but basically, it's your rights, who actually controls and owns the story and the characters that you created, revenue, who is actually getting paid for the stories and characters that you created, responsibility, what actually has to get done for the revenue to get created and for the people to collect their revenue, and recovery, what happens if everything goes sideways in the deal. A bad contract, like I said, focuses most of those elements, if not all of those elements, so they are not in your favor. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're shopping a deal, you get a publisher, the publisher wants to give you their quote unquote publishing deal. But when you look at the deal, or when you get a experienced comic book attorney to review the deal for you, they let you know that it is not actually a publishing deal. It says publishing deal on the top of the video, on the top of the contract, but what it really is it's a deal where you are giving up the rights to your publishing, the movie rights, the TV rights, the video game rights, the merchandising rights, the live action rights, and basically all of the rights associated with your comic. You don't get to keep anything. The revenue, it's a bad deal if when you're looking at the revenue, there is no money up front, or there's very little money up front relative to the rights you're giving up. And in terms of the royalties, you can't really figure out how you're going to get paid once the book comes out. This could be because you're getting paid off of net revenue and you don't really know what's being deducted from the gross. In another video, I will explain the difference between net and gross and how you work all that out with royalties. But suffice it to say, the thing that you need to remember is that gross is good, net is nothing. That's not an original concept. I stole that from somebody much smarter than me, a professor named Mark Greenberg. So far, a bad deal is you're losing all of your rights and you're not making any money. That's pretty straightforward to understand how it is a bad deal. The third portion that is usually pops up in a bad deal is it is very difficult, if not impossible, for you to get your rights back if the whole thing goes sideways. So let's say the company that acquires the rights to your book never pays you. Well, you could try to take them to court, even though taking someone to court is a very expensive endeavor. But the contract will say, even if you win in court, you can't get your rights back. Or the company goes bankrupt. And even though the company is bankrupt or the company no longer exists, you can't get your rights back because they sold your rights to somebody else to get out of bankruptcy. Or they never even publish your book, but you can't get your rights back because the way the contract is set up, there is no recovery for you. So a bad deal means you lose all or most of your rights, you get little or no revenue, and you do not have the ability to get your rights back when the whole thing is goes sideways. Now, most contracts that I've encountered, the bad deal usually focuses on those three elements. There are some deals, however, that even the responsibilities portion is not good for you. What do I mean by that? In most cases, let's say you're a writer, you write the scripts, they ask for revisions, you do the revisions, your responsibilities are over because that was what you were supposed to do. But if the contract calls for endless rounds of revisions, or it calls on you to automatically make prequels, sequels, spin-offs, whether or not you had a story you wanted to tell, whether or not you have actually time to do this work, you're still on the hook for it in the contract. That's when even the responsibility portion of the contract could be a bad deal. Now that we've talked a lot of doom and gloom about what bad deals are, it should be fairly obvious what a good deal is. But I will run through it really quickly just so we can end the video on a good note. A good deal is something that gives you the ability to maintain the maximum amount of your rights with the maximum amount of revenue with as little responsibility as possible and an easy way to recover. What does that deal look like? Okay, let's say you get a deal from a publisher and they want the publishing rights. That's it. They don't want the movie rights. They don't want the merchandising rights. You keep your video game rights. They want the print publishing and the digital publishing. That's it. And in exchange for that, they're going to give you, let's say, $50,000 for the print rights. And they're going to give you royalties on the back end of that if they sell more than $50,000 worth of your book. That will actually be fairly significant and easy to track the way the contract is set up, the way net revenue is set up. In terms of responsibility, you're the writer, you deliver the script, or you've already delivered the script, you don't have to do anything else. That is a good deal in terms of responsibility. And if the term is clearly stated up front, let's say you give the publisher 5 years, 7 years, that's fine because you know that at the end of that period, you get your publishing rights back. You already have all of the other rights in your deal. So you have, in essence, a good deal. Now, most deals are not on these two wild extremes. Some of them are, but most of them fall somewhere in the middle. So it's going to be hard to tease out what is a good deal or a bad deal in your specific case, depending on your specific circumstances, without having a professional like me look over your contract. So if you have a contract that you need looked over, you can contact me for a free consultation. If you have general questions or you want to kind of build up your comic book career, please check out Comics Experience. The link will be in the show notes. So, thank you for listening. We will see you next time. And until then, get off the internet and go make some comics.